10 News begins with breaking news.
That breaking news from North Park, where a woman was badly hurt in a house fire.
Our photojournalist Paul Anderegg is there live in the 10 News breaking news tracker. Paul, what's the update?
This fire broke out about 9 o'clock tonight here on Alabama, and you can see there's some people here. I believe those are some caretakers, possibly family members. Now, this again started at 9 o'clock with a report of a fire with a woman trapped inside the house. I'll show you some video of what the scene looked like a little bit earlier. Battalion chief tells me that when the firefighters arrived, they were told that there was a woman still inside. They were able to make entry into that house. They were able to pull that woman out of the burning house. She was unconscious, rushed to an area hospital. We don't know her condition right now. It took them about half an hour to get that house fire under control. Now, on the outside, it looks pretty normal, but on the inside, it's just completely gutted and burned out. So we're going to stay on scene and bring you more updates on 10 News this morning. Back to you.
Serious situation there. Thank you. And now to a developing story. An attacker is on the run and two men are left with stab wounds. The investigation shut down a major road in Mission Valley during the evening commute.
Our 10 News reporter Matt Boone joins us live on Marina Boulevard, where police are still combing the area tonight. Matt.
Steve, police say that stabbing actually happened on the riverbed underneath Marina Boulevard, just past the 8. We're here between Old Town and Linda Vista. Those two victims actually were able to make it up onto the roadway, where they happened to flag down an officer who was driving by. Police say the two victims were young men, 18 and 19. One was stabbed in the chest, the other in the stomach. They were rushed to UCSD Medical Center with serious injuries, but police say they are expected to survive. Meanwhile, police began searching the San Diego River, where the suspect was last seen running inland. Investigators say the stabbing took place in the riverbed, though they don't know what yet led up to it.
There's a lot of debris and, alcohol containers. We just don't know what they were doing. It could be related to other people down there drinking, so that's just what we're trying to figure out.
While this area of the river is known as a hot spot for homeless encampments, police say, according to witness statements, they don't believe either of the victims were transients. They said they're still waiting to interview the victims to get a better description of the suspect and what happened. And the latest report from police, they still have not been able to track down that suspect. Anyone with information is urged to call the San Diego Police Department. Reporting live tonight, Matt Boone, 10 News.
Matt, thank you. As news develops with this stabbing, we'll push it out through the 10 News mobile app. A free version is available in the App Store.
The FAA is now looking into what caused a helicopter used by 10 News and other local stations to tip sideways and then catch fire at Gillespie Field today. This is video taken from the helicopter as it was landing on a movable platform. At first, all appears normal, but then it looks like one of the skids missed the platform, causing the helicopter to tip over. A pilot and a photographer were on board, but neither was seriously hurt. The helicopter is run by a third-party company.
Investigators are trying to figure out what started a fire that destroyed 31 cars in a National City parking lot. Sky 10 flew over this afternoon when flames were still burning. The lot was for overflow vehicles from South Bay car dealerships. People spotted the smoke from miles away. We caught up with one man who works next door.
Yeah, and I see a big cloud of black smoke. So I was like, oh, our yard might be on fire, so had to rush back over here.
Nearby residents were told to shelter in place and turn off the air conditioners until the fire was out because the smoke may have been toxic. No one was hurt.
Hoping to break into the national stage, billionaire philanthropist Tom Steyer was in San Diego tonight pitching his case for the White House. Our 10 News reporter Anthony Pura is live at Liberty Station, where people at tonight's rally believe that Steyer can make some political waves.
Yeah, they really feel like he has the momentum right now. A lot of people at the rally had heard of Tom Steyer because of his ads calling for President Trump's impeachment. Now he's looking to take him on. We had a chance to speak with Steyer ahead of the rally to ask him why he thinks his campaign is different.
I'd love to have a conversation with as many people here as we can have.
Tom Steyer is the newest presidential hopeful on the campaign trail. He drew about 100 people for his rally at Liberty Station Tuesday. Steyer launched his campaign in July, shortly after the first Democratic presidential debate. In a sit-down interview, he tells us he jumped in because the government is broken and none of the candidates are talking about fixing it.
There's a reason that it's been broken, and that is that the corporations have bought it. There's been a hostile corporate takeover of the American government.
Steyer considers himself an outsider who can reform Washington.
The answer to concentrated, secret, darkroom, backroom politics is exposure, grassroots, and the people.
Steyer visited a San Diego shelter for families going through the asylum process. He says the immigration system is another example of a broken government.
Decades of no action to take that many people out of the shadows.
The California billionaire isn't shy about his business background either, saying he is the candidate who can credibly call out the president's economic policies.
I'd love to expose him for what he is, which is a fake, a fraud, and a failure.
This was off the cuff. He was real. He was genuine.
People say they like what they heard, but they know it's an uphill battle jumping into the race late.
It's going to be challenging until he can get on the debate stage and be more known.
Now, Steyer is confident he'll be taking part in the next debate, but even if he doesn't get in, he says that his campaign will continue. We're reporting live tonight from Liberty Station. Anthony Pura, 10 News.
Thank you, Anthony. And Steyer needs to hit 2% in one more poll to make it into the next debate. It's moderated by ABC News. And 2 polls will be released tomorrow, just hours before the deadline. 10 candidates have already qualified. If no one else gets in, there will be one debate September 12th. If 11 or more candidates qualify, the debate will be split into 2 nights. Either way, you can watch the debate right here on ABC 10.
Now to a developing story. Puerto Rico is bracing for a hit from Tropical Storm Dorian, but the storm may strengthen to a hurricane as it heads towards the Bahamas and Florida later this week. Shopping cart brigades line stores in Puerto Rico where residents are buying whatever supplies they can. The island is still recovering from Hurricane Maria back in 2017. That devastated the area and knocked out power for months. The power grid is still fragile, but FEMA says it is already mobilizing.
I think FEMA took a very aggressive stance for Dorian. It is the first system of the year, and we understand that the island is still very fragile.
And within the past 3 hours, we got word of another tropical storm forming. This one is named Erin, and it's headed for Canada's southeastern coast. And just as hurricane season ramps up, we have learned the Trump administration plans to take $150 million meant for disaster relief and instead give it to ICE. The Department of Homeland Security says some of the money will be used for detention beds, transportation, and deportation. DHS ultimately hopes to transfer $271 million in total.
Verizon wireless customers in the South Bay say they're frustrated with an outage that keeps them from making and receiving phone calls. 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo went to Verizon for answers and found out it could take some time before this problem is resolved.
Customers say they started noticing the drop calls and slower internet service about a week ago. Verizon says the issue is on the other side of the border. Patty Heredia first thought her husband's phone wasn't working.
His phone just wouldn't ring. And sometimes the text messages wouldn't go until later.
Then she realized it wasn't the phone, but instead their phone company.
I'm home now and you're texting me. I'm like, no, I texted you an hour ago.
Stanton Stanley runs a construction business.
I was at Verizon working on my business account, and so I was trying to call my wife at the time, and it just wouldn't go through. So the guy said that he was having the same problem.
He says his Verizon signal has been hit or miss. The service goes from 1 bar to no signal, or from LTE internet speed down to 3G or 1X.
Frustrating when I'm trying to get through to a client or something, and I can't.
In a statement, a Verizon representative told 10 News the problem started when a wireless operator in Mexico launched service at the border recently in the same spectrum band as Verizon, creating interference for some customers, especially those closest to the border. The rep says they've added capacity to the network to minimize the impact and apologize to its customers.
We're paying for service, and it's not inexpensive. It's one of the more expensive companies out there.
And I'm running a business and I can't get through to people, so it's frustrating, yeah.
Verizon representatives say they are working with the FCC to resolve the problem. However, there's no date for when it will be fixed. At the border, Laura Acevedo, 10 News.
Nearly 24 women who say they were victimized at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein blasted the late billionaire today. It was the final hearing at which the judge allowed the accusers to vent.
I'd say it's pretty empowering. It's also pretty upsetting to see how many lives he's devastated and to see how long this went on for and nobody did anything about it.
Prosecutors are wrapping up the case against Epstein because he is no longer alive to face those charges. But there are others tied to Epstein whom the women want brought to justice. Among them, Britain's Prince Andrew, who was a friend of Epstein. At least one woman claims that she was a teenage sex slave offered up to Prince Andrew.
He knows exactly what he's done, and I hope he comes clean about it.
Prince Andrew admits that he was friends with Epstein but denies any wrongdoing.
Well, traffic is flowing again on the 5 after a nasty big rig crash near Camp Pendleton. From Sky 10, we were able to see where the truck ended up down a ravine. This happened a little after 10:30 this morning. The driver had pulled over. Another big rig clipped his truck, and that sent it tumbling down the ravine, flipping over in the process. Incredibly, neither driver was badly hurt.
Judging by the distance that he weighed and the weight that we're looking at in these vehicles and the condition that the big rig is in, he's very lucky that he sustained only minor injuries.
The crash sparked a small brush fire, but that was quickly put out. Neither driver was cited, but CHP is still investigating.
A terrifying new video of a giant rock slide. You can see the massive plume of smoke and dust rising as that's just giant boulders toppling 3,000 feet below. This happened Saturday in Zion National Park in Utah. People on the trail below desperately ran for cover.
So I was looking up and we heard this huge noise. It sounded like
continuous thunder.
Yeah.
3 people were hurt and taken to the hospital. No word on their condition. 19 other people were stranded by the rock slide. They had to wait 90 minutes for the dust to settle before finding a way out. The trails will be closed indefinitely.